Greetings and welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we got another Templar build, a Magicka Templar this time, and we're using the new Templar class set from the Infinite Archive. And let me just tell you, there's a lot of sets that are not very good, you know, like the old ones. There's a couple that just, don't make a lot of sense. The new ones, there's a couple that don't make a lot of sense. This one, the Aetheric Lancer, is actually really good. Probably one of the best ones next to Pyrobrand, which we're going to be looking at with a different build. But let's talk about this build here. So, Infinite Archive, new class set for the Templar. Really, really nice, really good. This is a pretty solid build too. I had a lot of fun playing it. It actually turned out way better than I thought it would be. But you know, it is what it is. Let's talk about it here. So Magicka, we got a comfortable 24k health, a little over 30k. As always with these builds, feel free to adjust your health to what you're comfortable at. If you're comfortable at, playing a lower health build, hey, feel free to invest more damage. Or if you feel like you need 35k, you can do that too. I'm personally, I'm comfortable around like 30-ish. So, and I mean, if you have like some serial bonuses, this goes up to like 33. So I think that's more than enough. Stamina 16k, pretty nice. We're not really using any stamina skills, so we only need our stamina for like sprinting and breaking free and stuff like that. Magicka recovery, this actually goes up to almost 3k, actually 3k if you're like fully buffed, because we're using wretched vitality. If you're fully buffed, this means you have your potion buff up, you have your minor regen buff up, your wretched vitality is fully procced, and you have your Cyrodiil bonus and stuff like that. You're actually sitting at a very comfortable 3k, so tons of regen on this build. The spell damage goes up to, this is a good question, over 6k something. You're hitting pretty hard, especially with the proc set. The proc set is hitting very hard. It's hitting very nice values. From what I've seen, 6 to 7k is usually what you're hitting on people with the Aetheric Lancer proc, which is plenty, and it's very easy to proc, to be honest. I saw some discussions on the forums that were like, oh, I don't know, you have to step into the circle. Yeah, you have to, but you're moving around anyway. If you're not moving around in PvP, you're doing it wrong. So yeah, that's not really an issue. And then when it comes to the spell resistance, let's just look at it real quick here. Yeah, I mean, a comfortable 24k spell and physical, that's plenty, I would say, for a build like this. You have pretty good healing. Your healing is very strong. And 1450 crit resistance. This is because we don't have the right traits. I'm going to show you that in a second, because I didn't transmute all my gear, because I gotta be honest, I'm doing a lot of builds. There's not enough transmute crystals in the game for me to transmute all the gear, but it is what it is. We're using the Apprentice for Amundus. We're Vampire Stage 1. In my opinion, there's not really any reason to go further than that, especially in this patch where you get the Undeath passive at Stage 1 already. So if you don't need anything very specific from the other stages, I would highly recommend not going further than Stage 1. And yeah, then we have the Witchmother's Potent Brew as our food buff. Feel free to run something else if you really want to, but I think this one's fine. This one's pretty cheap too. So, affordable food, it does what it needs to do. Gives you some max magicka, gives you some max health, and gives you some recovery. But of course, if you really wanted to, you could, put a food in that has more health, or more magicka, or more regen, or different regens. You do you, whatever feels good to you, whatever's comfortable. All right, that's the stats. Let's look at the sets here. So, as I mentioned, we're using the Aetheric Lancer. I'm using a lightning staff here, which I think is probably the best thing that you could do. If you really want to play this like purely like melee, which you could, I would recommend maybe a sharpened maul, two-handed maul. But I like having a staff, and especially the lightning staff gets that 12% extra damage to direct damage attacks. So I think that's a good way of doing it. So the way we're running this on this one, so we have Aetheric Lancer 3 times on the body, as you can see, infused, invigorating. Those are not the traits that you want. I would recommend, honestly, for a build like this, just impen on the pieces. I do like infused on the big pieces, but that's like kind of like an old school thing that I like to do. I think you're still better off just running impen. On a build like this, one thing you could do is a little bit of well-fitted wouldn't hurt, but you, like I said, you do you. Impen, if you don't really know what you want, impen is the safe bet. So yeah, we got 3 pieces on the body here and completing the set with the 2 pieces on the lightning staff on the front bar. And then on the back bar, as I've already mentioned, we're running Wretched Vitality. This is a very nice sustain set. Everybody's running it. Super easy to back bar. You only have to do, you know, a minor and a major buff, and then you're basically good to go. And you get your full regens out of this. And this is going to be 2 rings, then 2 pieces here on the staff, and then 1 piece on the, you know, on the belt here, right? Then we're using the Marken Ring of Majesty, which is, you know, you can use all kinds of stuff. You know, there's different ways that you can build this. I think the Marken Ring here makes total sense because, you know, it gives you a little extra armor and a little extra damage. But if you wanted to, Saint and Seducer, of course, works well. Or if you're feeling really cocky, the Sea Serpents, what's it called? The mythic that gives you all that spell damage but snares you. That one, of course, the snare is really bad, but if you're feeling cocky and you want more damage, that's a way to go. But I think Marken Ring is the way to go here, just because of the nice split of a little extra damage, a little extra armor. Does the build really well. And then we're using this incredible monster set that I haven't really used much yet, and I don't really see a lot of people use it, but I think it's actually really, really good. Magma Incarnate. First of all, the 1 piece giving you 2 lines of Magicka and stamina recovery. Great. That's a great 1 piece that you could just run by itself, which just ties into the overall, you know, sustain of this build. We have tons of sustain, as I said. And then when you heal yourself or a group member with a single target heal ability, you grant the lowest health group member. I play solo, so I don't have to really worry about this too much. You give them minor courage or minor resolve, which is really good. You know, you get another 200 spell damage and you get another 3k armor. Of course, you know, a lot of people run vigor for their minor resolve, but I thought I don't have to run vigor because I don't need it. I don't want to use it. I don't need it. So I put this on. I have it on all the time. I don't have to worry about it. It's just there whenever I need it. And I get the extra spell damage too. So, you know, that's pretty nice. So yeah, that's basically the setup here. Very, very simple. The Lancer on the front bar, Wretched on the back bar, Magma Incarnate, and then you have the Marken Ring. Of course, when it comes to traits, I would definitely recommend having Sharpened on the front bar. On the back bar, I like either Infused or Powered. The reason Powered is it's going to give you more healing. On the back bar, that's where my healing is, so that makes a lot of sense. I like Infused though because I always put a weapon damage enchant on, you know, on my back bar and oftentimes on the front bar too. And you get a lot of weapon damage out of it. As you can see, 450 for weapon damage on an infused 2-hander. That's a lot of extra damage. So, you know, when you swap to the back bar, don't forget to poke with a light attack so you get that little extra damage buff for 5 seconds. That's really nice, you know. That's why I say go infused or go powered. Both make a lot of sense. For the jewelry, I would definitely recommend infused. You want to stack the damage. First of all, you just want damage overall for your offensive skills and for your defensive skills, because of course your heals are gonna scale with the amount of damage that you have too. But of course, we have the Lancer on, and the Lancer scales with weapon and spell damage, so you want to stack as much weapon and spell damage as you can, just so you get a nice little, you know, proc tooltip here. And as I said, for the traits on the body, I would say Impen, we're running this 1 chest here because you're going to have this 1 chest piece free. I would recommend having the Gallant Chain or just a trainee chest with reinforced on, you know, in heavy. That gives you the most bang for your buck, gives you the most armor, because you're going to have that 1 slot free anyway. This is the perfect piece you want to go for. If you can't afford the Gallant Chain, which is basically just a named heavy trainee chest that comes in reinforced, you can just buy or farm yourself a heavy trainee chest and then, you know, just transmute it to reinforced. You know, that's fine too. It's going to be much cheaper. But yeah, you wanna have that, and I want to keep this in reinforced. Of course, you could run impen too if you wanted to, but I think reinforced makes a lot of sense. You get the most armor out of it. You get 1 line of extra health, which is really nice. The rest impen, as I said, jewelry infused, front bar sharpened, back bar infused or powered. Okay, that's the sets. Let's take a look at our skills. So front bar, starting off with the Aurora Javelin. So this is basically your stun, it's your main stun, and it has some range. It knocks people back. It deals decent amount of damage, especially in combination with that Aetheric Lancer proc. This actually starts hitting pretty hard. You know, that's a good way of procking the Lancer. So the way the Lancer works is you're jabbing someone, you're doing your damage, and then you proc this little AoE area, right? This little area, and when you stand in it and you activate, an Aetheric Spear ability, you're gonna shoot that Lancer proc out. And if you combine this with an Aurora Javelin, it's gonna be super nice because it's gonna deal the javelin damage, it's gonna deal the proc damage. So that alone is gonna be somewhere between like 10 or 12k, right? And then you can gap close in and just do your thing. I really like it. This ignores the enemy's resistances and cannot be blocked, which is great. If you're fighting a tank, a perma block tank, you can knock them through their block. Also, if you see these annoying wardens standing on the bridge trying to pull people off with the frozen gate, try to sneak up on them and just knock them off. That's something you can do with this thing. Keep that in mind. So if you see one of those annoying wardens trying to like cheese people off the bridge, just let them know that you don't like it and just knock them off. And yeah, this thing deals a 2% additional damage for every meter that you're away from the target, up to 40%. As I said, thing hits decently hard. The next one is Purifying Light. You can use Power of the Light if you want to. I didn't really want to use stamina skills, so Purifying Light. You don't really need Power of the Light anyway. Power of the Light gives you Sundered, but you already get some from the proc set, so it's not really important, okay? So Purifying Light is basically your kind of like pre-execute, you can say. You put that on, it deals like instant damage, and then you deal damage for like a couple seconds, and it stores up the damage and then explodes. And yeah, it's nice little damage pop when you really need it. Especially if you can time it well with an ultimate, this is gonna hit really hard. So yeah, that's what that is for. Puncturing Sweeps, of course, is your bread and butter DPS spammable. I'm usually not a fan of having spammables on the Templar, but Sweeps is pretty nice. It covers a large area, it hits a lot of people, it hits decently hard, and it heals you, of course, and yeah, snares people. Yeah, that's basically also how you're gonna mostly proc the Lancer. It can proc from pretty much anything, but since you're going to be hitting the most hits with this thing, this is most likely what's going to proc your Lancer. So yeah, nice. Explosive Charge is the next one, which is our gap closer. I'm going with Explosive Charge for 2 reasons. First of all, it does more damage than Toppling Charge. We don't need Toppling Charge anyway because we have the Javelin, and I want to keep the Javelin. Normally, I'm a fan of something that combines 2 things in one. That's why I like Invasion a lot, because it's a gap closer, but it's also a stun in one. So I do like Toppling Charge, but for a build like this, I gotta be honest, I like it more the way I've set it up here. I have a dedicated stun, which has some range to it. It hits pretty hard. And then I have a dedicated gap closer, which hits harder than the other version, and it also gives you more major protection for a longer period, which I think makes a lot of sense. And then also any enemy hit that's casting is going to be interrupted, and this is an AoE, right? It's going to hit in a 6-meter radius. So if you're charging into a group and someone's casting, they're going to be interrupted, right? Really nice. So I think this makes a lot of sense. The way I often approach targets is I knock them back and then I charge into them. One thing you can do is you can charge into them, then you can knock them back, and then you can charge into them again, just in case you're interested, right? You can do that as a little bit of a cheesy combo. But yeah, that's your gap closer. Then we're running Camouflaged Hunter. This is basically just here for the major savagery, the major prophecy. And of course, you get minor berserk when you're flanking people. So you're not going to be using this actively. This just stays on as a passive skill that's going to give you, these buffs. And it makes a lot of sense. If you don't want to run this, you can run Mage Light. Makes sense too. Mage Light's not going to give you the minor berserk, but it's still going to give you the major savagery and prophecy, and it's going to increase your magicka a little bit, and it's also going to give you some regen through the mage's guild passives. So that's another thing that you could use instead of Camouflage Hunter in case you don't want it or you don't have it. Mage Light works too. As your ultimate, Crescent Sweep hits pretty hard, not gonna lie. I have some clips of me playing Battlegrounds where I'm like literally just killing an entire enemy group by charging into them and just sweeping them, and they just all die, and it's beautiful. It hits really hard because first of all, you're gonna slap them, enemies in front of you, like you have like a cone in front of you, and any enemy in this cone is gonna get hit by 60% more damage, and then you're still pulsing some damage around you, which is helping you with like finishing people off while you're jabbing them. You're still going to be pulsing for some decent damage. Yeah, so this is this. On the back bar, we got Honor the Dead. This is our main heal. Heals like a truck, gives you some magicka back if you heal someone below 75% health. This is, by the way, this is my favorite scribed skill that I use on almost every build these days. The healing contingency with burst heal over time, and minor intellect and minor endurance. Absolutely love this one because it gives you a burst heal, which stacks with your other burst heal. Of course, you're gonna pop your contingency, all right? Usually you just want to make sure you have that up when you're going into a situation where you're like, you're gonna take some damage. You're just gonna have that up, and once you take damage, you just heal yourself, and you're going to get both heals. Both heals are going to go off at the same time. And then as you see there, we got a little bit of heal over time that's proccing there, which is really nice, which also, stacks with your rune, right? Your rune already gives you a little bit of heal over time when you stand in, not just when you stand in it, but it just gives you the heal over time and stacks with the other heal over time. So it's nice little damage there, right? Nice little healing there. I really like that in combination. So I would highly recommend doing that. I just love it. It's so much healing. You're just going to heal to full. You're going to get a little extra healing over time. You're going to get your minor intellect, minor endurance, which I think is great. I love that. I love getting the extra sustain. It's not that this build like really necessarily needs it. You could play that without. So if you really want to, you can put something else on. But I like a build that has a lot of regen. I really do. It just makes the build feel better. You can play more freely. You don't feel like you're limited by the sustain. And yeah, on this build, you're definitely not going to be limited by it. The next one is Degeneration. This is basically just our major brutality and sorcery skill. It's going to grant us the buff. And, you do a little bit of damage over time, which isn't bad, but that's not going to make a big difference. So yeah, this is just for the buff. Then we have Solar Barrage. A lot of people don't use that. A lot of people don't like that. I always liked it. It's a little bit of extra damage that pulses. It kind of stacks with, when you sweep people and you have that damage pulse on you for 6 seconds. It stacks with this one. This is going to be pulsing too, and then you're going to be jabbing, and you're going to have your proc sets going off. So that's a lot of just extra damage that's going to be happening while you're actively jabbing or attacking people, right? So definitely recommend this one. Mostly also because it increases the damage done with your class abilities by 5. And I really, really like that. Just getting that extra damage, extra 5%, super nice. And the next one is a Channeled Focus, which is your armor buff basically. And it also regens some magicka every 1 second. Also heals you for a little bit. This one isn't the one with the strong healing, but it's still a little heal over time. If you stack it with the heal over time here, it's definitely noticeable. And of course, when you stand in the rune, you're getting stronger healing anyway. So yeah, really nice. You definitely need this one. This one's very, very cheap too. Only costs you 1k Magicka. You get your armor buff. You get some Magicka. I mean, just look at this. You get 240 Magicka every 1 second over the duration. So that means within 4 seconds, you get the cost back. So it's super cheap. And then it's going to keep regenning for another 21 seconds. And this doesn't count as Magicka regen, right? This is just a separate sustain mechanic on top of your already like very high 3k Magicka regen. So you're not gonna have any sustain issues on this build. I can promise you that. And then I'm using Meteor. I put it on. I use different things. The reason I put on Meteor is basically for these fights when people sit on a wall and you just don't have anything to shoot them with. A little bit of extra like range, range burst is nice. So I put a Meteor on, but you can put on whatever you want. I'll leave this up to you, whatever makes sense. This is absolutely not important. If you want to drop a Nova, drop a Nova. If you want to heal yourself and people around you, pick this one. Pick your weapon ultimate, like whatever you like. Turn into a vampire. I don't care. You do what you want. I just put this on. And yes, this is not morphed. And yes, this is my oldest character. Yes, I made this character in April of 2014. And I didn't unlock Meteor up until a couple of days ago. Don't judge me, okay? Don't judge me, pretty woman. Anyway, like I said, you put on whatever you want. Nice skill, though. I like it, hitting people on a wall or, just people that are further away. I like it. Sometimes you want something like that. Anyway, that's the skills. Let's look at the champion points. As always, green tree, kind of irrelevant. I always take gifted rider, warmount. I have plentiful harvest here because this is kind of my crafter. You can put on whatever you want. Usually I have like sustaining shadows, steed's blessing, but since this is kind of my crafter and I sometimes run around, pick up stuff, I have plentiful harvest here. You put on what you want. The green tree, like I said, doesn't really matter much. In the blue tree, we got fighting finesse, backstabber, biting aura, and mastered arms. So we go with the area of effect damage here and the direct damage. Jabs, by the way, is considered direct damage. It's not a damage over time. It's direct damage. That's what we're doing this here. But also for the proc's direct damage. So that's going to factor in. And then, of course, the crit damage here. It's always nice to have. Very, very simple setup. Use it on almost every build because it just works. It just works. In the red tree, boundless vitality, rejuvenation, pain's refuge, and sustained by suffering. Rejuvenation, sustained by suffering, both are even more additional sustain. Of course, you can drop that if you want. You have tons of sustain. I gotta be honest, I'm a little bit of a sustain junkie. I like having some sustain on my builds, because sometimes I play builds that don't have that much sustain and I miss it. So I take it when I can have it, okay? A lot of sustain gives you freedom. Sustain is freedom, okay? That's our motto here. Sustain is freedom. Anyway, boundless vitality, of course, you want that extra health, and pain's refuge. It really helps you when you have a lot of people on you and you get a lot of negative effects on you. Everybody's like throwing stuff on you. You become quite tanky, which of course stacks with the major protection that we have. It stacks with the undeath passive that we have, and just helps you kind of recover from, like being jumped by a lot of people and being able to out heal the damage that's coming in. And yeah, that's it. Those are the champion points. This is the build. I had a ton of fun playing this. This feels really good. This is a really, really nice build. Give it a try. Aetheric Lancer, definitely a keeper. Definite recommendation. Out of all the kind of questionable class sets that we had in the past and have now, this is definitely one of the best ones. So go get it. It's worth it. And that's it. Let me know how it goes. Let me know what you think about it. Like, subscribe, comment. I'll be back with another video soon. You guys take it easy. I'll see you then. Bye. Thank you. Oh my God. like half the fucking people are logging off. Yep. Get clipped. Basically ruining every freaking build now. Like, no one can even use health regen anymore in like a meaningful capacity. If you wanna do a build that focuses on health regen, you just can't. It's stupid. Yeah, you don't want to stand there. You don't want to stand there. I'm a Templar. I can knock you off, dude.
Who can say where the road goes?
Oh my goodness, this build! Oh my god! I feel like the balance team is kind of phoning it in at this point. I feel like they're phoning it in. I mean, he's trying. Let's go. Let's go. That's how we do it. Absolute beast of a build.